Andre Giddy says, one doesn't discover new lands without consenting to lose sight, for a very long time, of the shore. For me, when I was 11 years old, that came in the form of being aboard a floating petri dish. In other words, a cruise ship, for days amidst the norovirus outbreak, dodging the virus, taking precautions, and impatiently awaiting disembarking ashore. But hey, it was all worth it. St. Thomas, Grand Turk, and San Juan were beautiful islands and so worth the sickness at sea. We're Team A4, AJ DeGrotto, Jade Glab, Kenneth Tan, and Katie Wang, and we're going to be talking about Carnival Corporation. In short, today we will discuss how Carnival can improve its CSR by improving its safety and health, environmental awareness, and work culture on board. We will cover our recommendation, in which we intend to implement a three-pronged approach, and also discuss Carnival's future as a successful company and investment. We will also discuss the prospect of an alternative investment, one that may be more likely to outpace Carnival in its success as a company. I'd now like to pass it off to Katie to discuss the firm overview.
Thank you, Jade. So moving into firm overview, we'll take a look at Carnival Corporation's general business model, their recent financial performance, and noteworthy events. Carnival is currently the world's largest leisure travel company and specializes in operating international cruise lines. They provide vacations to cruise destinations, visiting approximately 700 ports across the globe. Carnival operates globally with two main segments. The first is their NAA segment, consisting of North America and Australia, and their second is their EAA segment with Europe and Asia. Their NAA segment operates lines including Carnival Cruise and Princess Cruises, and EAA operates Costa Cruises, P&O, and more. The majority of Carnival's revenue comes from their cruise operations, including initial ticket sales and passenger spending on board. However, in addition to cruises, the firm also owns and operates hotels, lodges, railcars, and motor coaches. Taking a brief look at their financials, Carnival has been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. Amidst cruise cancellations, Carnival's revenue has dropped 73% in 2019, while expenses only fell 18%. Their long-term debt also surged from $9.7 billion to $22 billion in 1 year. However, Carnival's competitors are also having difficult fiscal years since the entire cruise industry has been negatively impacted. Last, some major events concerning Carnival include violating environmental regulations, most recently in 2019, which involved illegal dumping of waste into the ocean, and the COVID pandemic.
When analyzing the cruise industry at large, we came across three major trends. First, COVID-19 has ravaged not only Carnival, but the entire industry. The average revenue of the industry's three major players went from an increase of 10.7% in 2019 to a decrease of 73% in 2020. Second, cruise lines have taken a more segmented approach when it comes to attracting new passengers. As Generation Z is anticipated to outpace millennials in cruise favorability, the industry has reacted by making some cruises more luxury and some more affordable for young patrons. With regard to CSR initiatives, the industry is infamous. It limits its use of international reporting guidelines and does not utilize third-party assurance. I'd now like to pass it off to Kenneth, who will discuss competitor analysis.
Thank you, Jade. So now we want to turn over to how Carnival compares with its peers and competitors in the industry. And we want to view this through a CSR perspective. Three key metrics for CSR, and in particular the cruise industry, are worker satisfaction, customer satisfaction, and environmental and social governance. When compared to its cruise industry peers, Carnival is actually quite average in all three regards. Their CSR transgressions that have plagued Carnival are not unique to Carnival alone. Both Royal Caribbean and Norwegian Cruise Line, which are Carnival's two key competitors, have faced legal action in the past concerning employee pay and dumping. But Royal Caribbean has already taken earlier and more aggressive initiatives to turn a new page through partnerships with environmental groups and improving anti-pollution ship technology. On the flip side, however, Norwegian has been much slower in addressing its CSR problems. Carnival has been undertaking good steps to improve CSR via methods like its LNG ship initiative, but even though Carnival is on an upward trend, there is still much room for Carnival to improve, which puts Carnival right in the middle of the pack. Disney Cruises is included here as a benchmark to show that having quality cruises while still maintaining good CSR is viable in this industry. So from this, we can see that Carnival's greatest area of improvement is with regards to environmental and social governance. But who are these people who are affected by Carnival CSR? We found 5 key stakeholders. passengers, crew members, port and coast communities, the world, and shareholders. So first, the passengers. Passengers are affected directly by the air quality on a ship. In 2018, a study found that air pollution aboard Carnival ships could reach up to 5 times worse than a busy street in Beijing. Employees and crew members are negatively affected also by this air pollution, but also employees are hurt by the low wages they're paid. From numbers released by Carnival in 2018, crew member median income was less than half of median income in the US in that year. Port and coast communities around the world, or more specifically, Earth's overall environment that affects everyone across the world, also stand as stakeholders, as Carnival ships alone emitted almost 10 times more sulfur oxide than all of Europe's cars combined in 2017. And sulfur oxide has been linked with heart and lung disease, as well as destruction of marine ecosystems. And lastly, shareholders in Carnival are hurt when negative reputation associations come to Carnival, which is the company that they have ownership in. So now I'll pass it back to Katie to introduce our CSR recommendation.
So we're going to set course for some new C's ahead with our 3-pronged plan to improve CSR. First, Carnival should implement broader safety measures post-COVID to prevent illnesses before they spread. Second, Carnival can partner with environmental groups to promote net zero environmental impact. And third, Carnival should affirm employee well-being by enacting new workplace policies. Sailing into our first recommendation, we believe that Carnival should implement 2 new policies or the Safe Seas Initiative to promote passenger and crew member safety on board even after the coronavirus pandemic. First, Carnival should implement a limited capacity policy for areas vulnerable to crowding, such as gyms or water slides. To limit dissatisfaction, guests can RSVP for an event or area ahead of time. This policy is low cost and easy to implement, but will significantly improve both customer safety and satisfaction, since one of the most common cited cruise complaints is overcrowding. Through limited capacity, Carnival can strike 2 birds with 1 stone. Second, widespread access to clean hygiene is important, particularly in enclosed areas. To promote general well-being, Carnival should implement sanitization stations across their cruise lines. Carnival can also consider periodically rolling out their implementation across their lines to diffuse their costs. Now I'll hand it off to AJ for our second CSR recommendation.
Thanks, Katie. For this recommendation, we'd like to implement a more environmental focus into Carnival's operations. First, we can do that internally. A whopping 30% of Carnival's total revenue comes from on-board purchases. So, and as a result, much of these onboard purchases are merchandise that are on the ship. And we would like to realign our supply chain with a more eco-friendly approach by partnering with companies such as Ethics Merch and Eco Bags. One of the common stigmas about eco merch and other socially conscious suppliers is that it would kill profit margins. But in reality, we can maintain an 80+% profit margin with these green suppliers. Additionally, we can partner with external organizations such as 1% for the Planet or the Nature Conservancy program. These would allow us to not only strengthen our PR, but also improve the planet with organizations larger than ourselves.
So the third and final prong is affirming crew well-being. Customer service is of utmost importance in the cruise industry, and customer service is delivered primarily through the crew. We recommend that Carnival implement free texting via WhatsApp for all crew members so that crew members can stay in contact with loved ones without the financial burden of consistently paying for wireless service with an already small paycheck. This simple benefit boosts crew morale, which would lead to 20% increase in productivity. And this then leads to improved customer service and experience, which bears high potential in translating to an increase in stock price. We also recommend increasing diversity on the board of directors and top management through giving priority to candidates of less represented backgrounds. 77% of board members are found via referrals, and studies have consistently shown that management, leading by example, when focusing on diversity, brings out higher employee engagement. This then translates to higher chances of surpassing financial goals, which is something that Carnival really needs to do post-pandemic. And better employee engagement also reduces turnover, which is a very real problem as indicated by the high 30% turnover rate within this industry. So now I want to continue on with the impacts of our C plan. Under our three-pronged CSR strategy solution, all 5 stakeholder groups will see and experience the benefits. Passengers will have cleaner air and even better customer service and customer experience and guest safety. Crew members will have a further improved work culture and more care for their mental health and well-being. Coast communities and the environment as a whole will be supported through our environmental partnerships, and shareholders as owners of Carnival will benefit from a better Carnival with a stronger CSR.
Now we want to plot our chart ahead. We want to figure out what's the most reasonable timeline to implement these plans, and we've cut it into 3 sections. We have our initial planning phase, followed with implementation, and then finally we end with our continuation, seeking towards the future. First, we begin with safety planning and employee benefits. These can be done internally long before people start coming aboard. Next, we follow with our merchandise additions and our safety implementation of that earlier safety plan that we already created. Finally, we have a broader rollout period. This is far extended between our 25th percentile and 75th percentile range, just to account for the difficulty of planning when it comes to COVID restrictions. And finally, we have our realignment phase. This would be a continual feedback loop where we redevelop and take another look at our programs, our ESG goals, our CSR policies, and see if there's anything we can improve on our implementation, thus creating a positive feedback loop. Finally, we come to our investment decision as an external investor in Carnival Cruises. Now we need to weigh 2 things, which is the risk involved with the investment and the responsibility that comes with that investment. Regarding responsibility, we look towards their ethical history, and we find that Carnival has a dubious past. They're in an environment, and largely because the cruise industry as a whole, an environment of legal unaccountability, and as a result, environmental disregard with scandals as recent as 2019. In addition, their financial environment is even worse, with their short-term debt increasing over 1,000% year over year, their long-term debt over doubling, and their revenue cutting down by 73% in total. In addition, this has led to their distinction as a fallen angel category stock, which means that they've fallen from investment grade bonds to a junk bond category. As a result, we see that it is not really in the risk appetite of our sovereign wealth fund for 2 main reasons. The first is that their ethical history has a negative alignment with our purpose as a sovereign wealth fund. And in addition to that, the risk factor is just far too high regarding their financials. And as a result, their investment status is a negative outlook, and we propose selling the stock rather than buying or increasing our position. Alternatively, we see smoother sailing ahead with companies such as Trip.com. Trip.com is great because it doesn't have those negative overhead costs that really drags down the overall cruise industry. Instead, they operate mostly online, and they've had a wonderful response more recently with COVID safety procedures such as their safeguard cancellation program to reduce unnecessary travel, their commitment to ESG development. And this was particularly done by delving deep into their supply chain and figuring out if it truly was ethical at each and every point along the way. And finally, they've developed and garnered a strong culture over time. Finally, we'd like to point out that their stock has largely recovered since COVID-19, again, because their lower overhead and their stronger background, and therefore we would like to propose this stock as an alternative investment. Finally, we have Jade to review everything we've gone over today.
In conclusion, we've covered the operational, financial, and CSR issues that pertain to Carnival and its industry competitors. We've recommended a CSR improvement plan that consists of improving safety and environmental awareness and cultivating an affirmative work culture. While we wish Carnival the best and a viable path forward, we understand that it's a risky investment and believe that Trip.com is the better alternative investment. Perhaps on this platform, the norovirus, like the one I experienced, won't spread like wildfire. Thank you very much for your time.